Hello students, I am Toton Ghosh. I am an English tutor. I live at BARDHAMAN in West Bengal. If you want to contact me, you can contact me through this email ID totonghosacademy@gmail.com totonghosacademy@gmail.com. Are you looking for a competitive English teacher? So you can contact me through this email ID. I give special focus on English grammar and writing skill. So now let's get to the topic. At first, let me say something about the poet and the poem. Everyone sang by Siegfried Sassoon. A renowned English soldier poet is a descriptive poem about the simultaneity and beauty of music. Published in 1919, the poem expresses the jubilant singing of the people at the end of the First World War. This poem accounts for the poet's heartfelt emotions toward the end of World War I as it nears its end. The poem begins as he expresses the joy everyone feels once being out of unjust war. Using powerful diction, he explains how every heart gets filled with delight. He compares their merriment with the satisfaction of the birds having suddenly won freedom from the cages. As the poem progresses, he recalls the horrors and brutalities of war, which shake his heart with tears. Fortunately, the trying times have passed, and now everyone feels relieved and out of misery. Now, let me recite the first stanza of the poem. Everyone suddenly burst out singing, and I was filled with such delight as prisoned birds must find in freedom, winging wildly across the white orchards and dark green fields on and out of sight. The summary of the first stanza will be Sassoon's poem Everyone Sang begins with a reference to everyone bursting out in singing. It filled the poetic persona with intense delight to see their reaction at the end of the horrid world wars. He compares himself to a bird that once was prisoned. The conclusion of the war set his soul free. It was winging across the orchards and fields, and it flew out of sight. Now let me recite the second stanza of the poem. Everyone's voice was suddenly lifted, and beauty came like the setting sun. My heart was shaken with tears and horror, drifted away. Oh, but everyone was a bird, and the song was wordless. Wordless. The singing will never be done. In the second stanza, he describes how everyone's voice was suddenly lifted. Their song was as beautiful as the sunset. It touched the poet's heart and made him emotional. However, in the end, he realized that this song was nothing but a realistic recreation of his mind. The people he saw had died in the war. Thus, the singing will never be done. Now, I will analyze the poem line by line in detail. Everyone suddenly burst out singing. The everyone of this poem refers to a group of men singing and celebrating. The emphatic description of everyone singing captures the broader tone of celebration of the human spirit that this poem contains. I was filled with such delight as prisoned birds must find in freedom. The conventional symbolism, that of a freed flying bird embodying the human spirit, nonetheless captures the sense of release that the singing brings, winging wildly across the white orchards and dark green fields. The alliteration introduces a wheeling rhythm to the end of the stanza until we gain the perspective of the freed bird looking down on the countryside below. There is a real sense of the expanding horizons that the singing and coming peace brings, on and on, out of sight. A ponderous and deliberately slowed passage that reintroduces the listener as on gazing out at the freed bird as it flies away. Everyone's voice was suddenly lifted, repeating the literal phrasing of the poem's first line. The beginning of the second verse is both literal and metaphorical. The voices singing higher and louder, but the lifting of the voices here also suggests elevation here, a transcendental tone. This metaphor of lifted voice logically follows on from the prior image of flight. Beauty came like the setting sun. Sassoon again uses conventional imagery, here that of the beautiful setting sun. Sassoon uses a language here that in other hands might seem hackneyed or glitched, but manages to convey a purity of experience. The simpler and more archetypal the imagery, perhaps the better to evoke the emotional power of the singing man. The setting sun here suggests death, sublime beauty, and an end. Oh, but everyone was a bird. The suggestive capitalization of everyone here seems to suggest that everyone in the poem have for a short while have assumed the freedom of transcendence, of becoming more than themselves. Note the building intensity in this verse as subclause follows subclause, leading to the cry of "oh" and sense of profound emotional release in the last two lines. And the song was wordless. The singing will never be done. The sense that the listener experience is sublime and timeless, is profound, moving beyond words, to suggest here a religious image of the eternal singing of men. At last, I want to say something about the poem. Everyone sang, a poem by English war poet Siegfried Sassoon, is about a doomed speaker's imagination concerning the end of a war. He visualizes everyone's joyous expression that makes his soul as free as a bird. However, in the end, he realizes that such a joy is nothing but an illusion. He is just imagining a utopian scene of everyone singing together. Through this poem, Sassoon reflects his cynicism regarding the end of the world wars. According to him, there is no ray of hope as the people, especially soldiers, around him are non-existent. The horrific wars have taken them away from this beautiful world, leaving him with nothing but despair and dejection. If you want such a type of video, you can write in the comment section the name of the poem and the name of the poet. Thank you.